Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. If you follow basketball, you know Chilltown Hoops.
So this is really good right here. Yo. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world. Y'all know what time it is when y'all see me. Chilltown Hoops is in the house. 2025 is officially in effect. And I think it's going to be a great year. A third of the NBA season is already over with. We've had some interesting basketball up until this point. We've had some teams that have been good. We've had some teams that have improved and gotten a lot better. We've had some teams that have gone this way. And we know why those teams have done that. We 100% know why these teams have done that. So what I want to do is I want to discuss at this point, like who is the league MVP up until this point of the season? Number one, not only who is the league MVP, who are the candidates for league MVP? And what I don't want to do, guys, is I am not a fan and I'm not an advocate of teams not winning. So I want to make sure that I preface that right from the beginning. I care about that stuff. I care about winning. Yes, I do. So when I say I care about winning, guys like Joker, who is a game and a half out of missing the playoffs. Giannis is also, I don't have them that high on the list as I would Jason Tatum, SGA. I wouldn't have them as high. I wouldn't have, not to say that they're not, not to say that both Giannis and Joker are not better players than Donovan Mitchell. Because both of those guys are better players than both Donovan Mitchell and Jason Tatum. And that's not even an argument. But if you're going to tell me, if you're going to tell me that Joker, is in the conversation for league MVP, right? If you're going to tell me that Joker is in the conversation for league MVP, which I think he is because he's the best player in the league, I'm not going to argue that. And Giannis is the second best player in the league. I need to see these dudes win more, man, because that's what it's always been about. Joker won it last year. They were tied for first place. They were tied for first place in the Western Conference when he won it. The year he won it in 22, when they were in sixth place, that was an anomaly. That was 100% an anomaly. That's the same as what happened with Russ, which would explain why you didn't see it again. And I don't think that you're going to see it again because it's tearing at the fabric of what the league MVP is. And the league MVP is the most valuable player to his team's success. That's what it's always been. Now, what I don't want to do is I don't want to get away from, I don't want to stand on tradition as much as I want to change with the times, but I also don't want to get away from what is going on and what makes tradition valid. There are some things that need to change, and I won't argue that. Winning is not one of them. Winning is not one of them. And if you're going to tell me that a guy whose team is in fifth place, is in sixth place, he's more valuable to his team's success than a guy whose team is in second place, whose team is in first place, then we got to change then we have to change what the award is. It's not the MVP. What it is it's the most outstanding player. It's not the guy who's the most valuable. No, it's not. When I watch the Oklahoma City Thunder, and you guys know how I feel about Jason Tatum. And I think Jason Tatum is a top 3 player in the world. I'm not on the fence about that. I honestly feel like Jason Tatum is a top 3 player in the world. I think SGA affects winning more at this time. I think he's on a damn good team. I don't think he's on a team that's more talented, but I think he's on a damn good team, and I think he affects winning more. And to me, that matters. That 100% matters. So if I'm being consistent in my logic and I care about winning, and I care about how you're doing it while your team is winning, I care about what you're doing when your team is winning, and I'm staying consistent with that. One, I have to say that SGA is the league MVP today because I think he's the most valuable to his team's success. I think he is the most valuable. You can't give me legit logic that of the players that are playing today, there's a player who is more valuable to his team's success than SGA. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that Chet gives them a different dynamic. I think that Chet gives them a different dynamic that they don't have. And I think he makes them a different crew. As good as they are, I think Chet makes them a different crew. Now, I'm on record saying that I still think that they're a year away from winning it. And I think that and I feel like the reason why they're a year away from winning it is J-Dub. I don't think he's there yet. I don't think he's there yet. I think he's on his way, but I don't think he's there yet. There's some people who will see him as an all-star and go, he's there. No, I don't think he's there yet. I don't think that when we get to the biggest stage, that I can see him being that consistent number two. Because he wasn't that good in the playoffs last year. If we're being honest, he was not. And I feel like these are the steps that need to be taken in order for them to get there. Plus, they still got J-Dub on his rook deal. Not only do they have J-Dub on his rook deal, they still got a bunch of those other guys that Wallace that's on their rook deals, or they paying them a little bit of money. Chet's still on his rook deal. So I just don't think they're there yet. That doesn't mean that they won't be there by next year. I just don't think they're there yet. The same thing happened with Scottie Pippen. The exact same thing happened with Scottie Pippen. But if I let y'all dudes tell me and where we live today, that Bulls team doesn't stay together. Y'all would have broke that Bulls team up. We never see 6 championships. We never see Scottie Pippen turn into who he turned into because y'all would have broke that unit up. Y'all would have did the same thing with the Celtics too. After they got swept by Milwaukee in 83, after they lose to Philly in 82 and then get swept the next year in 83 to Milwaukee, y'all would have broke that Boston Celtics team up too. No more Kevin McHale, no more Bird, no more Robbie Parrish. Y'all would have blew that up. So y'all would have did the same thing with the Lakers with Magic and Jabbar and James Worthy. Y'all would have blew that team up too. They got swept in 83 in the finals, and then they lose in dramatic fashion to the Celtics in 84. Y'all would have blew that team up too. Y'all, public pressure, y'all would have blew that unit up. It wouldn't have been, next year we're going to come back. We're going to come back and we're going to be better. No, y'all wouldn't have done that. Y'all would have blew that unit up. Same thing is going on right now with this Oklahoma City team if they don't win it this year. Instead of the logic being we are right there and hold this unit together, we ain't that far away, we right there. Let Jalen Williams not have a good showing in the playoffs this summer. This playoffs coming up. We got to move him. Instead of recognizing that he ain't there yet. He getting there. He's not there yet. And be a little bit more patient with him. Just like you were patient with SGA. Just like you were patient with SGA. I watched that Minnesota-Oklahoma City game yesterday, and we had a nip-tuck game. We didn't have a blowout up until the third quarter. Nah, we had a dogfight. We had a damn good game. I like this. I think Minnesota's offense, they have the same problems this season as they had last year. Defense got a lot better. Defense has been better this year than it was earlier. It's gotten a lot better. But when that defense started to fly around in that third quarter and they started to create the turnovers that they created, SGA got going. He already was going anyway, but he was just in the flow of the game. When those guys started those guys started flying around and turning the basketball over like they did, getting Minnesota to turn the basketball over like they did, that was your ball game. That was your ball game. The game got sped up. SGA got out in open space, and he just got rolling from that point. And once he got rolling, they got rolling. And this is what I'm talking about when I talk about a guy affecting winning. It wasn't just at the long ball line. I mean, they I think it was 10 turnovers. 10 turnovers they created in the third quarter alone. 10 turnovers in the third quarter alone they created, and they opened up the game, which was a big deal for Oklahoma City. That was a huge deal for them. Huge deal. And the more I watch Anthony Edwards, I'm on record saying it. I think that he's going to be the league MVP one day. I think he's going to be the best within the next 5 years. I think he's going to be the best guard in the game. He's still got a lot of work to do. He does. And I know how you guys felt about him last year and coming into this season, him stretching the defense, but he ain't there yet. SGA is there though. That's why I had a problem when I heard people when I heard these guys telling me that SGA is playing out of his mind. No, he isn't playing out of his mind. This is who he is. This is who he is. This is SGA. Don't forget, it's not like SGA is in year 3 or year 4. No, he's a year behind Jason Tatum. He's in year 7. I think he's 25. Now, I think he's 25 years old, going on 26. Yes, 100%. So, because of that, what up? What up? What up, Miami? How you doing, brother? With that being said, we're approaching peak SGA, just like we're in peak Joker, just like we're in peak Giannis. So, how many peak seasons am I going to get out of SGA? I've always felt like a guy in the league. I'm probably going to get from, depending on how old he is, I'm probably going to get 4, maybe 5 peak seasons. That's it. When I'm talking about the greats, I'm probably going to get 4, maybe 5 peak seasons out of him. And I feel like with SGA, I feel like that's where I'm at with him right now. I'm entering peak SGA. I'm already up to my neck in peak Joker. I'm already up to my neck in peak Joker. I probably got 3 more years of this Joker, just like with Giannis. I probably got maybe 3 more years, maybe 4 with this Giannis, because I think peak Giannis started in probably 21. So I'm probably going to get another. I'm probably going to get another 3 more years of this. So that's about 5 years, 5-6 years of peak Giannis. I think what SGA is doing, how he plays in the mid-range, how he doesn't allow guys to speed him up or slow him down. The quote-unquote foul baiting that you guys have a problem with, I mean, that's part of the game. If I get you in the air and I can get you to foul me and I can get you off the floor, that's smart basketball. Because when I get your lesser defender on me, I can go after him. Because if you notice, as good as SGA was dealing with Jaden McDaniels, he was even better when DiVincenzo switched onto him. That's a lesser defender. That's a much lesser defender. And with having him deal with him, I can go at him even more. I don't have to expend all my energy like I would having to deal with a longer, a rangier defender in Jaden McDaniels. Well, I think that's the brilliance of SGA. And I keep hearing people saying stuff like, I never seen anything like this, or they immediately want to tell me that, it's Jordan-esque. Okay, let's get to the bottom of something right now from you guys. This is what I want. I want to kill this logic right now. He is nothing like Bryant. He is nothing like Jordan. He doesn't play above the rim. That's not his game. I will not say SGA in Kobe-esque or Jordan-esque in any of that way. He's nothing like those guys. He's not the athlete that those guys are. He doesn't play above the rim like those guys do. He doesn't defend like those guys do. He does nothing like those guys. Who he reminds me of the most when I watch him. And I said this 2 years ago. And I still stand on it. He reminds me a lot of Steve Smith. Because that's who what he does, a lot of that stuff Steve Smith did, playing in the mid-range. Just Steve wasn't as nice with the peel as he wasn't as nice with the ball as he is. Steve wasn't as crafty, but Steve was crafty like him. Those two guys aren't that far apart in height. So when I watch him, he reminds me a lot of Steve Smith, just a better version of that. And I mean, and when people hear that, I think it's interesting when people hear saying stuff like, you know, when I watch Anthony Edwards, he reminds me of Mitch Richmond. When I see SGA, he reminds me of Steve Smith. When I say that stuff, and people hear it, they think that I think he's Steve Smith. No. Have you ever seen a woman who reminds you of another woman? You don't think that she is that woman, but when you see her, she reminds me of Sharon. She reminds me of Amanda. She's not Amanda, but she kind of reminds me of her. When I watch SGA, he reminds me a lot of Steve Smith. When I watch him. And I mean, Steve Smith was a baller. Steve Smith wasn't a good player. Steve Smith was a baller. So imagine Steve Smith with a nicer handle. Imagine Steve Smith with a better mid-range. Imagine Steve Smith being able to get downhill like he got downhill. So again, I'm not saying that SGA is Steve Smith. What I'm saying is that's who he reminds me of. Some of the features are similar. Now, I think SGA is a better player than Steve Smith. I won't argue that. I won't say that Steve Smith, that SGA isn't a better. I won't say that, because he's definitely a better player than Steve Smith in my estimation. But when I watched him, even early on when he was developing, that's who he reminded me of. He reminds me a lot of Steve Smith. That's who I see a lot. So with that being said, right, with that being said, with him being the league MVP, with SGA being the league MVP, that really wouldn't bother me. And the reason why, and the reason why it wouldn't bother me is because I feel like it's warranted. I feel like it's valid. What he does for that crew, I think he's averaging 37 a game over his last 5 games. And they're winning. That's the most important thing to me, guys. I've said this to you more than once, more than twice, and I stand on it. I said it to you more than once, more than twice. When I think about the league MVP, I care about winning. I care about that stuff. As good as you are, as good as you are, if winning isn't attached to it, I can't get behind it. I can't. And the reason why I can't get behind it is because of what the title is. It's MVP. It's the most valuable player to your team's success. Now, the best player in the league has won the league MVP before. So it's attached to the best player in the game. That's part of it. Right? That's part of it. But if you're going off, if you're going off the guy who is just playing the best, if that's what you're doing, right? If that's what you're doing, then we got to change the word. We have to change the wording. It can't be MVP. It's got to be most outstanding. In the NFL, they got a criteria. It's the best player on the best team. It's a quarterback award, right? It's a quarterback award, but I feel like it's the best player on the best team. In baseball, it's just the best player. We don't care what division you in. We don't care what your team is doing. In the American League, if the Anaheim Angels are in 3rd place in the AL West and Mike Trout is doing what he's doing, Mike Trout is the league MVP. We don't care about that. We don't care. I watched Alex Rodriguez win the league MVP, and he was in Texas, and they was at the bottom of the league. They were garbage. In pro basketball, I feel like the criteria changes, but the one thing that doesn't change, even though we've had exceptions, the one thing that doesn't change is winning. And I care about that. I 100% care about that. So, since we're on the subject of winning, tell you who's not winning, and that's Charlotte and Chicago. I did what you guys told me to do. I did. You guys told me, OG, get with the times. It is not the 1900s anymore. The big man is gone. Even though he's not, he's just gotten updated. Let's be clear about that. The big man is not gone. He's just gotten updated. I've given you examples like Windows 98. That software, bring it into 2024, bring it into 2025, it's obsolete. But what you can do is you can take that software from 1998 and you can update it. And that's what the big man is. He just got updated, right? He just got updated. And I got a super chat I got to read really quickly. This is from Teddy Hart. Teddy Hart says, blame the NBA for never officially defining the MVP awards and the biased voters for changing the criteria over the eras. With that said, it's SGA, chill. I think it's SGA, Teddy. I won't argue that. I 100% believe it's SGA. Now, for a long time, Teddy, we did have a criteria. The big man won the league MVP. I believe when it came out. What up, 305? How you doing, brother? When the award came out in 1955, from 1955 to 1996, I think we had in those 40 years, we had 26 league MVPs handed out to big men. That's what the league was built around. It was built around the big man. The big man was the best player in the game. As good as Doc was, he was never as good as Jabbar. Never. As good as Bob Cousy was, he wasn't as good. He wasn't as good as Chamberlain. He wasn't as good as Russell. He just wasn't. As good as he was. He wasn't as good as Bob Pettit. He wasn't. So we had some sort of criteria. This is what the league is. It's a big man league. That's why the 3-point line was implemented, because you were able to give smaller players an advantage, which, I mean, I could get with that. But I mean, I did what you guys said, right? I did what you guys said, and I got with the times. Right? I'm more tuned in with the long ball. I'm understanding what the game is today. I'm watching a lot more basketball. It doesn't mean I love it, but I'm getting more involved in it over the years. And I'm understanding what this whole thing is about. And we live in a copycat league, because before the Golden State Warriors did it, a jump shooting team is not winning the NBA championship. That's not happening. Nope. You can't do that. You can't, even though Steve Nash in the 7 seconds or the 8 seconds or less offense, I thought they were close. I didn't really think they were that far away. I thought that they had some unfortunate stuff happen. In 2007, with Stardom, when Robert Horry knocked Steve Nash into the scorer's table, I think they beat San Antonio. If Stoudemire doesn't get suspended and all of those guys don't get, I think they beat San Antonio. I do. And I think they go on to the NBA Finals. And I think they beat Cleveland. Yes. They had some unfortunate stuff happen, but they were a jump shooting team. So then we move from them, who they didn't get it done, but it was already going on. It was already going on. Then you add in the Golden State Warriors with both Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, who management saw him and they looked at Monte Ellis, who was 26 a game, and they looked at Monte Ellis and they said, "You're not it. These two guys are the future of basketball. not you. We're moving forward with these two guys. We're going to move off of you. That's not to discredit your game, because I think you're fantastic. But these two guys, this is the future of basketball. And they were right. Because turns out it was. Because now what we have is we got guys like KD. We got James now going, I got to shoot the long ball. Because if I don't shoot the long ball, I'm not going to last. And then they start winning the NBA championship. And now this is what the NBA has now become. This is what the NBA has now become. So then you get the Boston Celtics, who they get these kids in Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. You get a dirty work guy in Robert Williams. You find Pritchard in the draft. And then now they're shooting the long ball. And they get close. They get close. And then they make some adjustments. Exit Marcus Smart, enter Drew Holiday. What up, Hov? Exit Marcus Smart, enter Drew Holiday. Exit Robert Williams, enter Kristaps Porzingis. More of a jump shooting big man, can stretch the defense. Not the defender that Robert Williams is, but can defend, can rim protect. Now you have your world champions. This is what the NBA is. And on top of that, rewind to who they lost to in 22, which is the Golden State Warriors. Jump shooting team. This is what the NBA is. So as much as we don't like it, this is what the game is. This is it. And I think Jason Tatum, for all intents and purposes, I think he's a much better catch and shoot long ball shooter than he is off the bounce. I think he throws himself off rhythm when he does that, but I think that's a different subject for a different time. So the Charlotte Hornets, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Bobcats? No, they're the Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets and the Bulls, and this is the second time this went on, by the way. This isn't the first time. This is the second time this went on. They shot 103 threes and made 28 of them. Now, I think that we are my brother and I had a conversation a lot of years ago, and the conversation was about, which I thought was interesting. The conversation, we were watching tennis, and when I was watching tennis, I'm watching Serena Williams, and my brother says, "Man, I can do that." And I said, "Yo, let me tell you something. She would wipe the floor with you. There's a reason why she's a professional. Not everybody can do that. The reason why it looks easy is because she's a professional. You can't do that. No, she would destroy you. And I've never seen you play tennis before, ever." I say that to say there's a bunch of people who see Curry, Klay Thompson. They see these long ball shooting teams. They see them and they think everybody's going to do that. No, that's not you. You can't do that. You are not good enough to do that. So you got to find a different, even though you got to get with the times. I ain't going to argue that. No, I will not argue that. And you got to get with the times. And I have to put the long ball in my game because that's a part of the game today. I watched the in-season tournament championship game, and this kid from Milwaukee, Andre Jackson, he gave me the kid from Oklahoma City that played with Russ and KD, Roberson. He gave me Roberson vibes, where I have a potential great defender, but I can't rely on him to knock down an open shot. That's a problem. Okay, does he have to knock down the long ball? No. But I'll tell you what he does have to do. He's got to keep the defense honest. And how do I keep the defense honest? I can knock down a 17-footer. If I can knock down a 17-footer, you have to honor that. You can't just leave me wide open. You can't. And if you if you honor that, that's more space on the floor now. I don't have to be a knockdown long ball shooter, but I can add that to my game. But I have to be able, especially if I'm playing on the perimeter today, I have to be able to knock down an open shot. I got to be able to do that. If I'm not doing that, then there's no reason for me to be out here. And my team will get, right? My team will get exploited. 100% they will. I got to answer this really quickly. This is From Teddy Hardy says, Jason Tatum, Paul Pierce, and Larry Bird play a game of 21. Who wins? Bird. That's who I think wins. I think Larry Bird wins. I just think Bird is better. So with the Charlotte Hornets and the Chicago Bulls cracking 101 threes, that's coaching. Because there's more than one way to win, man. It is. It has to be more than one way to win. Because if you don't think, if you think that we only have to shoot the long ball, if you think that we only have to shoot the long ball in order to win, that's the only thing we can do to win, then you're not doing any coaching. None whatsoever. There's no way that you're coaching on any level if you think if we don't do this and this only, we're not winning. There's no way you think that as a coach. Because if you did, you would find other ways to win. I'm watching Minnesota and Oklahoma City last night. I'm watching DiVincenzo drive to the paint and then kick the ball out to the long ball line and then stand. Nobody's diving to the basket. Nobody's cutting to the basket. Nobody's setting and slipping to the rim. Nobody's doing any of that stuff. Nobody. All they're doing is throw the ball after I drive to the lane. I throw the ball to the wing, and then I stand. Or I'll get out the way and I'll let Julius Randle go to work. Or I'll let Anthony Edwards go to work. Or Mike Conley. I don't let any of these guys. We don't have any sort of offense in terms of fluidity. None whatsoever. Zero. And the same thing happens with Charlotte and the Chicago Bulls. The same thing happened. I think Josh Giddey went 1 for 8, 1 for 9 on a long ball. I think that's such lazy offense. And I'm not saying that you have to be innovative because I don't think that this is that hard. When you get better players at that level, right? When you get better players at that level, and I play with better players, the game does become simpler. With that being said, I can come up with ways, and I don't have to be innovative. No, I don't. I don't have to be innovative, but I can get guys to cut to the basket more. I can get guys to dive to the rim more because that space next to the rim is wide open. And in the words of the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I got a better chance of scoring if I get closer to the rim. I just do. I got a better chance of scoring if I get closer to the rim. If I'm standing 22, 24 feet away from the basket and all of this space is open 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet away from the basket, if that's going on, I should probably get closer to the basket. And I can do that. But I feel like these teams today, right? I feel like these teams today, they've bought into this is the only way to win. If you don't shoot the long ball, you can't win. And then what it does is it breeds bad basketball from teams who can't do that. Like the Hornets, like the Bulls. Bad teams or teams that aren't that good. I'm not going to say a bad team because I think Charlotte is bad. I don't think the Bulls are that bad. I think they're a middle of the road team. But when you have teams like that shoot the basketball like that, and this isn't an anomaly neither. We just shoot bad against Charlotte. No, that's not the case at all. What it is these teams get wrapped up in what everybody else is doing. Not even everybody else. They get wrapped up in what the champ is doing. We don't have the personnel, right? We don't have the personnel to do what the Boston Celtics do. We don't have the personnel for that. We don't. We have to find other ways to score. We have to find other ways to win because that's not going to work. That's not to say that we got to completely eliminate the long ball. No, I ain't saying that. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is that there's other ways to skin a cat, and this one ain't it because we're not good enough to do that. We are not. So speaking of being on the subject of not good enough, I saw that Breece just signed with the University of Arizona, Breece James. And I thought that was really interesting that he ends up signing with the University of Arizona. And I'm a little bit older. And the reason why I say I'm a little bit older is because I remember, I mean, the University of Arizona, that's a big time program. That is a major program. When I think about programs on the West Coast, UCLA, University of Utah, Arizona. Yes, Arizona is a major program. Is Breece James a major Division I player? That's the $1 million question that needs to be answered. Now, can he turn into a major Division I player? Because there's plenty of guys who showed early and they were raw and they were trying to figure it out, but that thing was there. That thing was there. The question is he, right? Is he that guy? Not necessarily that guy. Let me rephrase that. Does he have that thing in order to excel at that level? Is he an athlete? Does he have the skill level? Is he smart enough? That's the $1 million question. So I thought it was interesting when I saw that. But I want to hear from you guys. I do. I want to hear from you guys. I think the league MVP this season is SGA. I think we live in a copycat league, and I don't think everybody who's trying to adapt to it, right? I don't think everybody who's trying to adapt to it should be. And I think Breece James, I don't think it would have been a bad thing for him to play in the West Coast Conference. I don't know if you know this, but J-Dub went to Santa Clara. It's in the West Coast Conference. Gonzaga is in the West Coast Conference. That's a good league. Loyola Marymount is in the West Coast Conference. University of San Diego. These are good schools in the West Coast Conference. In the Mountain West Conference, San Diego State, that's a damn good league. Fresno State, that's a good league. Maybe he's a mid-major Division I player. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that whatsoever. I don't. But I want to hear what you guys have to say. What up?
Hey, what up, Chill? What up, Chill? Is the mic all good? Yeah, man. Look, I'm with you on Shay. We've been on the OKC for a while. I've been on the OKC trade for a long time, Chill. What this guy is doing right now is insane. The way he impacts winning, his two-way player ability, his craftiness at the basket, the way he puts defenders out of rhythm, puts them constantly guessing. I just think when you look at the fact that the Thunder are on record to win over 70 games, and you just look at the way he's playing right now, I think he's averaging 36 points per game. He's the last 12 games, Chill. I don't think there are any players who are, if he ends up leading the league in scoring, Chill, I think you got to give him the MVP. And if he wins over 70 games, it has to be unanimous, man. I don't see anyone else getting close if this continues. Now, I don't know if it's going to continue, but the one thing I do know is they're doing this without Chet, right? They're 12 wins in a row without Chet. If they keep this going, they're going to have some interesting conversations at the end of the year, Chill, for sure. On the copycat comment, I agree with you. Everyone's just copying. They've seen what Boston does, and they're trying to copy that model. But the problem is, I'll talk about the Bulls, right? Because I follow that team, right? We had DeMar last year, and we saw a different type of basketball being played. The problem is the maths problem, right? Even if you want to try play a different style, you then have to have the personnel to counteract this style. And what I mean by that is, no matter what different style you try, whether you want to be a mid-range team, whether you want to be a team that attacks the basket, whether you want to be a team that gets a lot of free throws, 3 is always going to be more than 2. So it just means that the long ball is always going to be prioritized in these teams. That's why 3s are higher than they've ever been before. Pace is higher than it's ever been before. I think the offensive rating, I think the Sacramento Kings 2 years ago had the best offensive rating in NBA history, right? They would be 6th in the league right now with that offensive rating. So we've broken that offensive rating 5 times already, right? So the league is just all about scoring and offense. And until we see,
I won't argue that. That part I won't argue. I will not argue that it's.
We got a lot of good coaches too,
but you do have the personnel to counter that. I mean, I watched the Detroit Pistons hear that they're going to get swept by the Lakers because they didn't have the personnel to deal with the Lakers offensively. They didn't. They ain't have Shaq. They ain't have Bryant. They didn't have Malone. Right? They didn't have Rick. They didn't have the personnel to deal with those guys. But you know what we do have? We got the personnel to defend. We do that. We got the personnel to guard at the long ball line because not everybody is Steph Curry. Not everybody is Klay Thompson. Not everybody is knockdown shooters at the long ball line. Not everybody is that. So if we don't have knockdown long ball shooters, you know what we do have? We got guys who can guard the long ball. We got athletes, which is what the NBA is. According to what I've been told, this is the most athletic, most skilled era that I've lived in. So because of that, I got athletes, I got defenders, and because I have that, I can guard at the long ball line, right? I can guard at the long ball line, and because I can guard at the long ball line, you know what else I can do? I can speed the game up. I can make the game faster. So if I do that, and then maybe I can slow down this onslaught of long balls. Now that doesn't mean that I can't shoot the long ball. I just can't do it as much as you do. And I can make you play the way I want to play, as opposed to me just being wrapped up in this is what everybody else is doing, so I got to play like this. No, I don't.
I fully understand that concern, and you want there to be a difference in styles. Right. And I think you can see differences in terms of specific teams. Like the Thunder shoot the long ball, but they do take a lot of mid-range as well. You got J-Dub, you got SGA, you got players who like to operate in those ways. But if you're a casual fan, Chill, like we are going to watch the NBA regardless, no matter what the product is. The NBA is not concerned about us. They're concerned about the casual fans.
Yeah,
who are trying to watch the NFL, watching MLB, they're watching Shohei Ohtani, they're watching Mookie Betts, right? And then they're watching the NBA, and they're seeing, first of all, a lack of young talent really being pushed. They're trying, I think, right now to try and do something, but on the whole, it's a bunch of old guys, right? KD, Steph, Bron, and you're seeing this way of playing of just shooting a bunch of threes, and it just, like you said, missing 75 threes. It's not a fun experience to watch. But if you look at the numbers, if you look at the points per possession of corner threes, unfortunately, that's the most efficient shot in all of basketball. So how do you change that? The only thing I think can change that is you got to see the corner three removed. I just think it's too strong of a shot. If it's worth much, I think the numbers are it's worth 1.2 points per possession, right? A corner 3-point shot is the most valuable shot in all of basketball, right?
Well, Adrian, how many people are taking corner threes, though?
How many people?
Yeah, how many people are taking corner threes?
So I don't know the number on the top of my head, but
about that stuff too. That stuff matters.
Right, for sure. But the problem is, like, if you see, there is a trend. If you look at the last 5 NBA champions, there's a common trend between all of them.
Right.
They all lead the NBA in 3-point percentage from the corner and corner at 3-point attempts. The teams who can scheme up the most open corner threes and make them usually have a good chance of winning the championship, right? When you have played, and you don't even have to have a Steph Curry. If you have a Derek White, right, he can shoot 17 threes in a game. Chill, I saw Drew shoot 17 threes in a game. He only made 4 of them.
I saw LaMelo Ball shoot 18 in the game. He made 5 of them.
Right.
So, I mean,
but
I know what we all
make.
I do. But here's the thing: when you shooting that many threes, more times than not, you're not going to make them. You're not.
Right. The problem is, if you're shooting them, you have to respect it, right?
Not really.
What does that do?
I don't think so. To be
think
honest with
the problem is the team thinks they have to respect him, right? Eventually, maybe in a playoff setting, that changes. But if you're in a regular season game, you have to respect the shot.
Maybe.
So then, that gives you what? Spacing. And that's the whole problem with the NBA right now, man. It just keeps going into this cycle until a rule change happens. I don't think anything's going to change, unfortunately.
Maybe. All right, brother. Good to talk to
bro.
you. Yep. I just think that we live in. I think that there's more than one way to skin a cat. It just is. I don't think we have to stick with that. I don't think we have to stick with that logic. So, what up?
What up, Chill? I wanted to say something too. I'm doing great tonight. That guy actually stole a lot of my talking points, unfortunately. But one thing I want to say is I think that he's definitely right on something. It's a copycat league. Everybody's trying to copy Golden State, and it's difficult copying them when you don't have the personnel as good as them. But Boston right now has, in my opinion, the perfect formula right now. They have the size, they have the 3-point shooting and defense and the strong wings. They got Brown and Tatum who can guard 1 through 4. Maybe Brown can't guard 4s really, but they have the perfect unit right now. And
Very switch heavy defensively. So they got a lot of guys,
Yeah.
guys who are interchangeable, from Drew
Yeah, and
Holiday
this
to
is
Derek White
definitely
to Jason Tatum. Yeah, I can get with that.
and this is definitely an era where you need to have that. If you don't have
Mhm.
that, you're not going to be able to win. And I feel like to the point about this dude said Frank is 70. Oh well, I'm not 70, bro. I'm 27 years old. I'm just very smart.
Mhm.
Anyway, back to the point about the Bulls and the Hornets. Yeah, they don't have those teams got to shoot threes because they don't have any good personnel. Chill.
Right.
So until you get good personnel coming in, you're not going to be able to win either way. The NBA's always been driven by what? Chill, stars, right, bro? I mean, come on, man. Stars run the league. Stars
Sure.
run the league. Chill. That's just the facts.
That part I won't argue. I'm not arguing that part, but you do have the personnel to do other things. You don't necessarily have to have the personnel to play like that. But I mean, if you think about the better teams in the game, not all of them are shooting the long ball like that. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, Memphis got good long ball shooters. Houston has has an average offense. They don't have a bunch of long ball shooters, but what do they do have? They got a real good defense. They got a damn good defense.
They do have a good defense, but do you think that come playoff time they'll go anywhere, Chill?
I don't think that they win in the NBA championship, but the fact that they're able to win games, not being able to do what everybody else is doing, that's a testament to what I think the game is. That you don't have to play like that. Not everybody has to play like that. Now, I mean, can they knock down the long ball? From time to time, Jabari Smith has knocked down the long ball. Fred VanVleet has knocked down the long ball. So they have had guys who can do that. But with that being said, their defense has shown that can win us a lot of games. That's always been the case with them. So
I just like to just come up here, Chill, and just talk. I guess I'm a yapper, so shout out you, Chill Town. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, brother. Yep. What up?
Oh, hello, Chill.
What up?
You have made some good points. Like, not every league has to play the same way like the others. They have their own way of playing through the game.
Sure.
And that's all I wanted to say. Happy New Year, by the way. Big fan.
Happy New Year, brother. Good to talk to you. Absolutely. Thank you. What up?
Yo, what's up, man? First time caller. I just wanted to talk real quick. I think this is a topic that kind of relates to what we're talking about. So I'm a Blazers fan, have been for a while. I see a lot of rumblings about people not liking Chauncey Billups, not liking the style of basketball he plays. I wanted to see if you had any thoughts on that. And I was going to give my take on it after you.
Well, first of all, I look at that Blazers team, and I actually we had a conversation earlier today about the Blazers, and I want to utilize. I don't think Shaedon Sharpe's athletic ability is utilized. What I mean when I say that is the Trailblazers don't play fast. They don't play as fast as I would like for them to play.
Right.
So with that being said, I don't think that a guy like Shaedon Sharpe, because I think you got your backcourt of the future. I want to make Scoot more of a distributor who can score. That's what I want to. That's what I want to turn Scoot into. I don't want him to be a bucket getter who can pass. No, because he's inefficient at that. No, I want him to be more of a distributor. I want to speed the game up, and I want to get guys like Shaedon Sharpe more involved in the game. That's why I'm good on Anthony Simons. I'm good on him. I want to move.
Yeah, I'm good on him too, and Jeremy Grant, by the way.
And it's not that Anthony Simons sucks. I just think that for what I'm trying to do, if I got an athlete like I do in Sharpe, I want to utilize that. And I think that I feel like Scoot can be one of the better passers in the game. I just feel like he can be that. I think at his best, I think Scoot is an 18 and 19 and 8 guy.
Yeah, I heard you say that on PC.
I think he can be that. With that being said, I think you got your 5-man in Klingon. And I think you got your 5-man in Klingon. I'm not sure whether or not he's made of glass or not. I hope he isn't. I don't think he is, but I like him I feel like that mid-range game can be developed where he can drag that big man away from the basket. I think he can be one of the better rim protectors in the game. I
Yeah.
think he's smart enough to understand the game.
Right.
I'm good on DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton just
Same, man.
strikes me as a guy who he just punches the clock. He comes in, he does his job, and he leaves. I don't think he cares
Right.
about whether you win or lose. I don't think he cares. I really don't. And
Yep.
I really don't want that on my crew. I'm good. I dig this kid Kamari, but to your point about Chauncey Billups, I don't think he's utilizing Scoot the correct way. Now, maybe that's a management thing because Simons is still there, but I want that backcourt to be Simons and Sharp, and I want to feature Sharp more, and I want to play faster to get Sharp more involved and turn Scoot more into a distributor who can score and a defender. And I think that they'll be so much better if they did that. And I don't think Chauncey Billups is doing that.
Right. And I think you can you go back in the Dame era, especially at the end of it. We're trying to run 3-guard lineups. You did the same thing when you drafted Scoot. You had Anthony in the wing. I don't think that they were planning on trading him when they drafted Scoot. So it creates kind of this backhold where now you're trying to me, the 3-guard lineups just aren't going to work if they're not good defenders. Anthony Simons is not a good defender. Shadon maybe has some potential, but he's not there yet. And then Scoot's still young. I think the one thing that Scoot has is that not off the dribble, but his ball handling is very good and he's smart. The shot selection definitely needs work. But to me, I just think people like to nitpick coaching, especially in an organization where there hasn't been a lot of success. And I did the same thing with Terry Stotts. But I think now when I look at it, you look at every top 10 coach in the history of the game that's considered top 10, they've all had excellent talent around him. I mean, Phil Jackson, I'm not going to sit here and say that Phil Jackson, he's a great coach. But when he got to the Lakers, when he got to the Bulls, he had talent. What he
You're not winning in the league if you got just okay players. You're not.
Exactly. Right.
Not.
And like,
don't let nobody tell you that neither. You're not.
Right. It's a players league. And
Yes.
like, you look at what he did with Jordan. What he did was make Jordan rely on other players when he's getting double and triple teamed. That's what got them over the top. Yeah. And I think, I just think after looking, because I hated the way that Stotts ran the team, I just thought, he wasn't utilizing players to his best ability. But when I look back at it now, I don't think the front office did enough. And I think front office is very important. If you don't have a plan and you can't develop guys or get guys that can be developed, I mean, it's tough. So that's all I want to say.
Yeah.
Or
I
actually,
good to talk to you, brother.
Yeah.
I think losing LaMarcus Aldridge was a big deal too, because I loved him with both Dame and CJ. I thought that they were on their way to doing something special. I did.
Yep.
So,
I'm with you.
All right, brother. Good to talk to you.
Yeah.
Yep. I thought they were on their way to doing something special. I've been to Portland a number of different times. Portland isn't a city that I'm not familiar with. I've been there a couple times, and I enjoyed my time in Portland. Portland is a great city. Portland, I don't think Portland is a good city. Portland is a great basketball city. I have a great time there, a fantastic time. And I was watching that Jazz. I was watching that Jazz Trailblazers game a couple of nights ago, and I could only get through half of it because, I mean, the brand of basketball was just so less than. And one of the main reasons why I couldn't get through it, not only because I've seen bad teams, but I'm watching the Trailblazers and I'm watching the Jazz, and I'm thinking to myself, there was a time when the road to the NBA championship went through these teams. There was a time in the NBA when if you was trying to get to the NBA finals, you had to go through Portland. You had to go through Salt Lake City to get there. I don't care what else you were doing. You had to go through Salt Lake City to get to the NBA championship. You had to go through Portland to get to the NBA championship. That was going on. And I'm thinking to myself, how far have the mighty fallen? Damn, this is where we are, where we have two of the worst teams in the league who at one point were at the top of the Western Conference. They were boss. They were boss at the top of the Western Conference with some of the best players that the NBA had ever seen. Now we find ourselves in a space where I think the Jazz have lost. I think they've lost. I mean, that's just a bad team. It is. I think they've lost 3 of their last 5. They are at They're at the bottom of the Western Conference. I thought that they would be bad this season. The Trailblazers, not so much, because I watched them early on in the season and they didn't suck. They didn't. I just don't think they're using Scoot and Sharp right. I want to make those two guys, I want to feature those two guys as my backcourt. That's what I want to do more than anything. But I was watching this kid. I don't know if you guys know it, but when I see a guy sign at a mid-major Division I school, right? When I see a guy sign at a mid-major Division I school, when I see a guy sign at a major Division I school, my immediate response to that is, I'm probably looking at somebody who does something awesome. So for Breece James to sign at the University of Arizona, I'm thinking to myself, there has to be something that he does that's awesome. It has to be. He can't just sign at because the University of Arizona, very much like I just got finished talking about with the Trailblazers and the Jazz, when there was a time when these two teams were king. I mean, the University of Arizona, that is a big-time Division I program. That's not a good Division I program. That is a major Division I program. And if you're playing here, if you are playing here, that tells me that there's something special with you. You're not just a good player. You're special. So I'm wondering what it is. I got a buddy of mine who's telling me that his brother is a better athlete than him. The kid that's going, Carmelo Anthony's kid that's going to Syracuse, is a better scorer. So, I mean, what about him is special? That's what I want to know. What about him is awesome? That's the thing that I want to know more than anything. What about him when they're on, not necessarily when they're on TV. Let's take that off the table. What about him makes you say, I need that on my team? Is it about the bread? Is it about his dad? You know, what about him suggests I need that on my crew? That's who I need on my team. Because if that's not the case, then what are we doing here? And I know I'm older, sure, but I just remember there was a time when there was a time when you're talking about West Coast college basketball, the university, when you talk about UCLA, you got to talk about Arizona. You have to. Because Arizona, you talk about Arizona because that was a major Division I program, and it's a major Division I program today. So why? What is it about? What is it about this kid? I'll tell you, man. I really want to see it. I got a super chat from Muhammad. He says, "Who you got winning? Rockets? Who you got winning? Rockets versus the Mavs?" If Luka was playing, I would say Dallas, but because I don't know what it is about. I don't know exactly what it is about Houston, but it's like when Kobe Bryant was playing against San Antonio, it's like he got like red in his eyes, and that's very much similar to when Luka plays against Dallas. He gets red in his eyes, man, and he goes after those guys. But he's not playing tonight, so I'm going to take Houston. I'm going to take Houston because I think that I think defensively they better. Don't get me wrong. I still think that Dallas team is still really good without Luka, but I think he's the engine. And then tonight, and in tonight's game in particular, I'm gonna go with I'll go with Houston. I just think that they're better. So we got some good action tonight. Yeah, we got some good action tonight. When I get done with you guys, I'm gonna tap in to see what's going on out there. Do you keep up with your comments? Silver wants different champions. doesn't really want back-to-back champions or the same team in the finals. I don't think that's true, Jay. I don't think that that's true at all. No, I don't. I don't think that that's, and not only does Silver want that, not only does Silver want back-to-back champions, the league is better when you have a team that's dominant. How do I know that? Because you don't care when lesser teams are in the championship. You don't care. You've proven that in the past, that you don't care when the Tampa Bay Devil Rays are in the World Series. You've proven that. You don't care when there's lesser teams in the championship. You don't care. You know when you do care about the Lakers in the championship, though. You care about the Celtics in the championship. You 100% care about that. You care about the Knicks being in the championship. You 100% care about that. So, it's about that time for me. I'm going to shake the spot, right? I'm going to shake the spot. It was good to see you guys tonight. I will see you guys soon. But until then, put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother. When last time you talked to your mother? Call your mother. I will talk to you guys soon. But until then, take it light. Take it. Absolutely, man. It was good to see you guys tonight. This was good stuff. I enjoyed that.